Hi, this is Mike Green. I'm Dodgy on the LightWave forums, and I'm going to show you how Bevel++ works. Okay, so we've got a polygon selection here, just all poly, and then press the hotkey for Bevel++, and it's got quite a complex panel, so I'll explain it as I go. I tend to use it using the guide spline thing, so you can click anywhere and move the spline anywhere, and this is basically your profile of the subdivision. So by shift right clicking you can add a point to the end, and you can still pull them all around. It's completely interactive in the viewport. If you control right click you can add a point on another segment of the line, so control clicking puts it in within the middle one, or shift right clicking adds another point to the end. You can have it set to each or group, so if you switch to each you can see each poly is individually beveled. If you got it to group you can choose between two different group insets, similar, which is kind of more like a smooth shift in how it works, and edges, which is probably the more useful of the two, I would have said, because it goes diagonally in from the edge, so it tends to give more usable results. You've got your shift for the last one, and inset. You've got your number of segments, so you can ramp that up and down. I'll just show you what happens if that ramps up. It individually sticks a point in between segments, building them up one by one. Okay, you can also reverse down, and if you go too far it'll take away the last point that was created. You can choose to do inside, which you can't really see here because it's more within the object, or inner is better. Okay, and you can invert dragging so that when you're using it in just normal mode, which is draw guide off, at the moment up is in and out, and then left and right is shifting it forward or back. You can see when it's in that mode the profile doesn't actually do anything, it just scales it in. If we put it into texture wire you can see it's got a number of segments there equal to the number of segments in the thing. But I tend to use it either in spline or line. You got your control for the view axis, so you can see that that's more sort of where the actual control, spline control is. So XY, XZ or ZY. You can multi-select points, so if I just shift and click on a couple of handles you can move those around as one unit, or if you click the size button you can scale that whole spline, so you can adjust your bevel. Subdivide just does what the increasing the segments does. It sort of adds in more points. You can stretch just the selected ones. So if you go click on stretch, you can move the actual center of the scale around and then scale them in and out. So that's quite useful. Centerlink I've never really used, to be honest. Contiguous determines which ones on the spline are selected. So to deselect points you just shift and click on the interface somewhere and the points get deselected, And then if you've got contiguous selected, you shift click one and then shift click another, and it selects all the points in between. If you deselect it, then it just selects the individual points on their own. Okay. So you can play around with all those. You can invert your selection, so if you've got one selected, invert the selection. And then you can also give it a new surface. And you can use the preset shelf for this, which is enormously helpful. So you can build up your own library of insets that you can use. So if I just undo that, just select a bunch of polys again, load it up, and just draw out a profile like that, and then say choose this one, load settings, and then you can see it's activated it so that we now have this. Let's just change the size so you can adjust how that extrusion, if you want it to be slightly different to the one you've done before. It's very easy to do. And you can add presets and save presets. You can also choose to interactively apply or not. So if you've got a really slow bevel with lots of polygons, then that really helps. Also, if you've got, say, let's just create an example. If you've got one polygon like that, you can scale it using each. Now, you can see at the points it's getting quite thin and nasty. You can turn on the basic anti-overlapping on, and what it does is as it gets close to thin, it stops it from going all the way in. Let's try that more with a text object. So it tends to be better. I'll pick somewhere with a nice serif. Okay. So you can see that's just one polygon. And if I go F4 and just zoom in on the thing here, you can see as it goes together it deletes the points and gets rid of the overlaps, which is quite nice. Very, very handy. Of course you can add in multiple segments just like before, and it always collapses those points. So you can see here it's collapsed the points, and then here it's collapsed the points to the next segment. So it's very cool. And that's why I use Bevel++, because it's all interactive. You've got the fantastic preset ability to save presets, and it's just easier to visualize, I think, than multi-shift, and easier to manipulate because you've just got this one profile that you can pull around. Whereas multi-shift, you have to kind of flip between the different segments, and so yes, that's Bevel++.